I give all my love, then nothing's gonna tear us apart.
Hey, what's up you guys, it's Eli. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this year's birthday makeup routine. I can't even scream right now because I'm getting kind of sick, so let's just hop right in. So as we know, my birthday is in the summer, so to make sure that my skin is always looking nice, not too oily, not too greasy, I always use the Danessa Myricks Moisture Balm right before I go into my primer. Milk is the best primer to use in the summer because of the grip. You can substitute this out with e.l.f. and it has the same effect, but a gripping primer during the summer is going to keep your makeup in place so well. But we'll have a summer makeup tips video and I can talk about all of that over there. On to my brows, I keep them very nice and natural, so this is the Benefit Precisely Brow. It's actually in the shade gray. I feel like brown is too light and standoffish because my hair is so dark, so gray works perfectly. I fill them in very lightly, nothing too crazy. Then I'm just gonna brush them up, and I like to put the Kush Brown Laminator by Milk onto my brows just to keep them set in place. I also go in with that very lightly because if I brush it too aggressively, it really messes up my brows. And honestly, they were perfect at this step, probably the most perfect that I've gotten them in a while. I don't know if it's the color or my technique or because I did my brows recently before this video, but I loved them. For my summer color, we're going to go in with the e.l.f. Liquid Halo. This is in the shade, I believe, 6, but I'll have all the products listed in the description. And I mixed that with my regular foundation, which is the NARS Natural Radiant in the shade Huahine. I found that mixing the e.l.f. Halo Glow during the summer really gives me like the perfect shade. Like, look at that match. It has like the perfect deep tint into it to make all of my foundations look beautiful without me having to go in and buy a $45 summer shade. I can just use this, and I believe this is about maybe $12 to $15, and because I only use this in the summer, it lasts me a really long time, which I love. I always set my face in between all of my layers, so this is the L'Oreal Infallible. It's a 36-hour hold. This was actually my first time using it, and I must say it works really well. My makeup stayed on all night. For my neck, I like it to blend into my face, but it doesn't need to be like a perfect color match, so I always use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Beauty Balm. This is in the shade 12, and I feel like during the summer, during the winter, because it's my neck and it doesn't get direct light, this shade always works. As we know, my favorite bronzer is the Danessa Myricks Contour Balm in the shade Medium 3. I'm never giving her up. I'm never giving her up. There will never be anything better. Even though I do want to try some new ones. I know Say has a bronzer that I really want to try. I am going to do a haul video, so stay tuned for that. A little shop with me, a little haul, and then a full face of my new products. And I will include that bronzer in there. But I'm going to bronze in all of my regular areas, hairline, my cheeks, and then I'm going to go back into my nose. As always, I will blend from about the middle part of my nose up into my eye and my brow bone. Kind of just the start of like a transition between this and my eyeshadow. This is also really pretty if I don't have eyeshadow on. It just gives my eyes a little something so they're not so flat. From this point, we're going to go in with a liquid or a cream blush. I love this curve case because I really like to mix these 3 shades. Once again, the shade names will be in the description, but these 3 blend so nicely. I think orange on the skin with like a little bronzy look during the summer is perfect, but the hint of pink really did it for me this time around, so I will be doing that more often. The only pink I don't like is the more muted pink at the end. I just don't know if I personally like it on my skin tone, but maybe I'll try mixing the pinks later and come back with a different idea. Onto concealer. This concealer placement is a little different than my regular because I wanted my makeup to look a little bit more full coverage. So if I'm going for something natural, I'll just keep it strictly under my eyes, under my contour, maybe a little on my nose. But for a full face, you're going to want to use just a bit more concealer. So I made sure to go down closer to around my mouth, extend it a little bit more into my blush and contour area, than I normally would. And I just feel like once you blend that out, it just, I don't know, it gives full coverage, it gives baddie. It just does something different than what just a regular under the eye placement does. And I'm gonna let that sit, and I will spray it again with my setting spray because I really don't play about my hold, especially for my concealer. And I really need this to be like nice and dry before I get to blending her out. As usual, I don't know what I was listening to, but I was vibing. Okay, and as I said, I need my concealer to be dry, so we're just gonna skip right to my eyeshadow. Once again, for the last time, I promise I'm not gonna say it again. All of the colors will be in the description, but my favorite eyeshadow look is just a little dark brown on my edges and outer corners, maybe mixed with a little black, but I don't think I did that this day. And I'll blend that up into my brow bone, kind of where I blended that nose contour, and then just a, I think that is black. But then I'll go in with a sparkle on the lid. Usually I'll use, I think it's called Moonstone. I'm not sure, but I don't think I used that this day anyway. I went in with the Danessa Myricks, but we'll get to that because I always use that for my contour, so I know I popped it on my eyes this day. But once it pops back up on the screen, I'll let y'all know. And we are finally at the point where I was ready to blend my concealer. Sometimes I start on the edge, sometimes I start in the middle. This day I started in the middle, closer to like the inner corner of my eye because it was so dry. Usually if you're starting on the outside, it's because you're still waiting for the inside part of your concealer to dry. Just a personal preference, but I always blend up where my eyeshadow is to keep that line really crisp. And then I just went around the regular parts of my face, my chin, and then I think I did my cheeks last because I knew that my concealer was dry. It really didn't matter to me what order I went in this day. And I always do my concealer last because I feel like it just blends better in that order. It's kind of like I'm blending it into everything else in my face instead of blending everything else into my concealer. And it makes it really easy when I go back and do steps like I just did, where I needed to go over and redefine the line for my contour. Had I had started with the concealer, it would have gotten like really muddy and messy and weird very quickly. So I'm also going to go in and redefine my nose contour just a little bit. I did go over this again with a little foundation because I ended up thinking that my contour bronzer on the side is just a little too harsh and I needed to soften it back up. And then here is the palette I was talking about. This is the Danessa Myricks Lightwork 5. I always use the shades Centered and Radiant. They are orange and they are absolutely stunning. They're like my perfect highlight shade. So I went over my eyes with both of those. And then I also do my brow bone and my nose. Mostly focused on the parts that I conceal. So the tip of my nose and then the bridge of my nose. One of my very last steps was my powder blush. This is the Juvia's Place Volume 1. And I use this one a lot because once again it has an orange shade, and I think orange is one of my most perfect blush shades. I was going in kind of a wacky order with my lip combo in this video, but next up is putting on my lashes. I've had people ask me why I put the glue directly onto my eye instead of putting it onto the lash, and it just saves you time with having to wait for it to dry. Plus, I feel like I get less irritation and less lifting when I do it like this. I don't know if there's an actual reason why I find that to be, or if that's just how my eyes work, but I've never really had any problems with any sort of lifting, and I kind of just go in immediately with my lash and they stay. Bottom lash mascara is always my very last step, and then I'm just going to go in and touch up any spots that need it. So I went in with more highlight, a little bit more powder under my eyes just to really set it in place. This is the e.l.f. HD loose powder in soft luminous. It's my favorite, my main go-to. I've talked about it in all my videos. And then my makeup was done. Girl, she was cute, she was eating, and if you want to see the pictures, they are already up on my Instagram. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
I bet if I give all my love